Antonio Pierce wants the Raiders to find a franchise quarterback, and I'm here to tell you it's not going to be Aidan O'Connell. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be looking at the latest quotes from the Raiders head coach, and I'm going to tell you what my opinion is on it, because I know what AP said. I know that Antonio Pierce said that right now this job is Aidan O'Connell's job to lose. My response to that is, well, no shit. Like, what do you expect your head coach to say? And now I feel like there is a group of Raider fans, which is totally fine. We can agree to disagree, and I'm just going to simply disagree, that think that Aidan O'Connell is going to be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024. I am standing up here looking at all of you in the eyes right now saying, I have never been more confident that the Raiders are not going to have AOC be their starter this upcoming season. So if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, Pierce spoke to the media on Wednesday, and when I say spoke to the media, this was not really out in the front of everybody. It was more in a back room where he was talking to a few of the Raiders beat reporters, and they kind of put out some of the things that he said. And AP did say that it is Aidan's job to lose. Pierce believes O'Connell will handle the competition well. Earlier this offseason, O'Connell even spoke about that he was 100% open and okay with the idea of the Raiders adding a quarterback because he thought that the competition would help overall. To me, this is just Aidan doing a much better job than I think a lot of Raider fans out there of looking in the mirror. I want him to have confidence, and I think he is an incredible young man. He's going to have a long NFL career as being a backup in the league. But Aidan's also looking in that mirror going, I'm not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. However, I think a lot of fans out there believe that he is. However, what do we do here? Yes, no, get down in the comments right now. Will Aidan O'Connell be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024? For every single person that comes across this video, if you're saying yes, I want you to watch it till the end. If you're saying no, then I want you to share this video on IG, share it on Facebook, share it out there, because I do believe more people need to see this, more people need to hear about it, and it has nothing to do, like there's nothing that grinds my gears more than when I see somebody go, Mitch, you rip on Aidan O'Connell, it means you don't like him. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I feel like anytime I hear that, I just feel like I'm talking to a little whiny 12-year-old. Be an adult. Let's have an adult conversation. There is nothing above the shield, and just because I don't view Aidan O'Connell as a starting quarterback doesn't mean that I don't love the Raiders. Doesn't mean that I don't like Aidan. It's me keeping a buck with you. And if I had a kid, if I had a parent, I would want the most important people in my life to tell me exactly how they feel. And in fact, that's why one of the reasons why I respect Antonio Pierce as much as I do. So yes or no, you probably have gotten my answer by now. If Aidan O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024, then Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco failed this offseason. And I don't care what else they do in free agency. I don't care what the draft looks like. The number one most important position, maybe in all of sports, is finding yourself a franchise quarterback. And based on the comments that Antonio Pierce has said, the Raiders are looking for a franchise guy. The unfortunate thing is listen to this. It's not going to be Aidan O'Connell. We good? We got it figured out? I sure hope so. So again, we're going to be rolling through all of these things in terms of what Antonio Pierce has said, which has made me believe what I am sitting up here and telling you right now. And anybody can look at a quote and they can look at it a whole bunch of different ways. But I know we've been adding tons, and I mean tons and tons of new people that have been watching the show. And March, I'll tell you this right now, March is the most fun month for me personally here at Chat Sports, because you got free agency, you got guys signing left and right. The craziest shows that we have ever done, shows that when I tell people like what I do that don't know what I do, a lot of the times I'm like, yo, we went wild Kenyon Drake when he signed with the Raiders, when the Raiders traded for Devontae Adams. Like, those are the legendary shows that I remember. And if you're like, well, bitch, why should I subscribe? You're going to get videos every single day here on this channel, 365, 366 this year. 4 live shows a week, breaking news coverage, 100% for free, and if anybody misses Party in Oakland style, hit that subscribe button. So let's roll through some of these quotes here from Antonio Pierce at the NFL Combine, and I'll give you my reaction to them and break it all down. I don't know how it's going to play out, but Telesco better start working his magic. I told him, it's your turn now. All eyes are on you. I am going to be undefeated for 6 more months. My takes on this one, that's kind of outlying right there. Pierce telling everybody that Tom Telesco is going to be the one that has the majority of the decisions building this roster in free agency and in the draft. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if the Raiders want to get a reliable quarterback in the draft, Telesco needs to start working his magic, right? Like, there is nothing magical about Aidan O'Connell. But if you want to try to get your franchise guy, you're right. You're going to have to whip out that magic wand, giggity, and you're going to have to start sprinkling some, you know what, all around to make it happen. Like, I do think it's important to remember that the Raiders want a franchise quarterback. That has been very well documented. It's been very well reported. I've been sitting up here on this show saying that the Raiders' plan A at QB has always been, and it's always going to be, Jayden Daniels. Telesco, one of the biggest reasons why he was hired, which again, been very well documented, is because he apparently put together the best plan at the quarterback position. And the other thing is, if you're looking for your franchise guy, and if you're looking at Jayden Daniels here, the Raiders interviewed OCs with Jayden Daniels in mind. They didn't interview OCs with Aidan O'Connell in mind. Imagine interviewing OCs with somebody that's not even on your team in mind. It's telling you what the Raiders are trying. Not saying it's going to happen, but at least what the Raiders are trying to do this offseason. More quotes here from Antonio Pierce. I am sure that's something that Telesco has already spoken about, but that's my personality. As you guys say or saw and witnessed, I am a go-getter. But obviously, that has to be a collective agreement. It does have to be a collective agreement. All good marriages have to be a little bit of an agreement, right? I saw something the other day, and it hit perfectly at home where it was like, I might not always be right, but I'm never wrong. And I feel like that's Alex's mindset in our relationship. And it's also my 4-year anniversary, leap year. Shout out to Alex. If anybody wants to hit her up on IG, Twitter, say congratulations. I bet she would appreciate it. But in terms of what he says here, Antonio Pierce is a go-getter. And go-getters don't settle at the quarterback position. If there is one thing that I respect about AP, he is not afraid to look at every single person in the eyes and tell you exactly what he's feeling. And I know that he said Aidan O'Connell is the starting quarterback right now, but actually look at his quotes. He's telling you without actually telling you what the Raiders are trying to do. So coming up next here is going to be more quotes from Antonio Pearson, more reasoning of why I have never been more confident that the Raiders are trying everything in their power to get a franchise-level type of quarterback. I'll tell you this, there's one sponsor that I've been missing, and I love what we're doing right now. Shout out to Prize Picks. If you haven't already, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS for a $100 deposit match. And the reason why that I love Prize Picks, especially at this time of the year, is because football season's over, but the action on the floor, it's heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Some of you are probably watching and you're like me. I don't play basketball. I don't watch a lot of basketball. I am really, really into the NFL Combine. And guess what? Prize Picks also has picks for the Combine, more or less. So if you don't already know, Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there where you can turn your hoops knowledge, NFL Combine knowledge, into some serious cash. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. What's probably everybody's favorite thing at the Combine? 40-yard dash times. And since we're talking about quarterbacks here, let's talk about quarterbacks a little bit more. If you see anybody, so we got Jayden Daniels, who do we got? J.J. McCarthy, Joe Milton, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Pratt is in there. We see Spencer Rattler. They all have their 40-yard dash times, and you can pick less or more. I will say it might be a little bit confusing, so walk me through this right now. Michael Penix Jr., 4.64 40-yard dash time. If you think he's going to run a faster time, you pick less. If you think that his time is going to be more than that, then you pick more. And to me, these are some of the ones that I've been looking at. I've been talking to Tom, and it does make it a lot more fun to watch. Like, I'll tell you what, I was watching the defensive tackles. This is when I'm making this video here, and every single one that Tom sent me, I hit. I mean, it was electric, man. Luckily, nobody pulled a Chris Jones and no eggplants fell out. But hey, if you want to pick more, pick less, please get started. Prize Picks is really simple to play. The fact that I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds is awesome. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. So Nation, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Those links are going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's keep it rolling here with Antonio Pierce at the Combine and some of the things that he said. I want a guy who, when the game is on the line, he wants the ball, making the throws or doing it with his legs or putting us in the right call. Well, let me just say this one right off the bat. Aidan O'Connell ain't doing nothing with his legs. If you think he's doing something with his legs, you are drastically wrong. But if you look at the other part of that from Antonio Pierce, is he wants a guy that he can rely on when the game is on the line. Here are Aidan O'Connell's stats from this past season in the fourth quarter when the game, either when the Raiders were winning by 7 points or less or losing by 7 points or less. So essentially, the most important part of the NFL game. Aidan O'Connell had a 45.5% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 32.1. There is nothing about what AP has said that has described Aidan. Can Aidan get better? Yes, he can. But also, why are we settling in an offseason that we don't have to settle? Like, there is zero reason why you settle. Why would you go into the NFL season next year with the worst starting quarterback on your roster? Because then guess what? You're wasting an entire year. And there's nothing more valuable than time. And especially with AP and Telesco, they know if they don't do a good job this year, guess what? The heat's getting turned up on their asses. We're going to keep moving here with Antonio Pierce. You don't want to put a Band-Aid at that position. That's old, man. I think the Raiders, we've seen that enough in this organization. And Antonio Pierce speaks about all the Band-Aids that the Raiders have tried to put at that QB position. He even mentions the name Derek Carr, though he said Derek was probably the best quarterback that this organization has had, arguably since probably Rich Gannon, I would say. But having Aidan OC as the starter is like literally the definition of putting a Band-Aid on the quarterback position. It is. Like, there is no better description. There is no better way that you can wrap your mind around it, because you know at the end of the day, Aidan's never going to be that guy. And just because you were unable to find a quarterback, you're just going to stick with your guy. It's literally the definition of putting a Band-Aid on it. Like, I know that Raiders players like Aidan. However, the players that I have talked to, I talked to multiple players at the NFL Media Day, and they know that he's not a starting quarterback. Doesn't mean that he can't be one at some point in his career, but they want to win right now. And based on the players that I talked to, they got eyeballs. They're not dumb. They know that they can't legitimately compete, which you could say what you want about the Raiders. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl caliber team, which actually I'll say it right now. They're not a Super Bowl caliber team because you don't have a quarterback. But every single season, you want to be able to sit there and believe in yourself and go, we can be a Super Bowl caliber team. Like the Bengals a few years ago, they get Joe Burrow, instantly a Super Bowl caliber team, right? Like you look at the Houston Texans, one of the worst teams in the NFL, get a quarterback, instantly now a Super Bowl caliber team. He's not a top 32 quarterback. Say it with me. He's not a top 32 quarterback. And I have said this, I'm going to say 100 times on this show here. And finally, coming up here, I am going to tell you every quarterback that I think is better than Aidan O'Connell. Or another way to phrase it is, I'm going to tell you every single QB in the NFL that I would rather have than Aidan. And there's a long list. I sat down with a bunch of guys here at Chat Sports. I sat down with a bunch of people that I respect, and we had a very good conversation. And here's the thing. Aidan, he's not a top 32 guy. But this show is not about me. It's about giving all of y'all a voice. And is AOC a top 32 quarterback in the league? If you say yes, awesome. Say yes. Just tell me where you have him ranked. If he's top 32, is he number 22? Is he 15? Is he 31? Is he 32? If you're like, no, Mitch, he's not. Cool. Then tell me exactly where you have him ranked. And I want people to do this exercise, because when you actually sit down and look at all the quarterbacks, because that's what I did. I looked at every single quarterback, and I started in the AFC East, and I worked my way down through every single team's depth chart. So the quarterbacks that you're about to see, they're not ranked. It's just literally me going through saying, yeah, I would take that guy. Yeah, I would take that guy. Yeah, I would take that guy. So quarterbacks that are better than Aidan O'Connell, I mean, some of these are not going to be surprising. Some of them are going to trigger you. Like, I already know some people are going to get triggered by Mac Jones, but as far as I'm concerned, Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler his rookie year with Josh McDaniels. You can't say the same about Aidan. Jake Browning, I'll take him over him. Joe Flacco and Dorian Thompson-Robinson was a consensus they are better QBs than Aidan O'Connell. So you're talking about a Browns team, their third-string QB. You're going to roll with a quarterback that's not even as good to be he'd be the fourth-string quarterback on the Browns. More quarterbacks than that I would take over him. Cooper Rush is a better quarterback than Aidan O'Connell. In fact, I asked all 20 people here at Chat Sports, who would you rather have, AOC or Cooper Rush? Every single person said Cooper Rush. Another name that's on here that might surprise people, Sam Howell. Same exact thing. I would rather the Raiders roll with Sam Howell, who played on the Commanders this past season, than decide to roll with AOC again. Justin Fields is on there. You guys can debate that one as much as you humanly possibly want. Now, there's a lot more better QBs on this one here, and there's going to be some that I know are going to trigger you guys from time to time. And if anybody wants to share this, you can share it on my Instagram. You can share it on my Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, better than Aidan O'Connell. Gardner Minshew, better than Aidan. Ryan Tannehill. The one on here that was actually kind of split at our office was Davis Mills, but to me, Davis Mills has more upside than AOC. More names rolling in here, better than Aidan O'Connell. Hendon Hooker was more of I would rather roll with Hendon Hooker in 2024 than I would Aidan, just based on what I hope would happen. Taylor Heineke, every single day of the week. Jameis Winston, honestly, was close for me. If I ranked the quarterbacks, Jameis probably came in, not even probably, he was in that 40 range of where I think Aidan is. And then just to round out this list, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Drew Lock. Bottom line is, I ranked every single quarterback, or not ranked, but I picked every QB that I thought was better than Aidan. And I sat back, and that means to me, Aidan O'Connell was the 45th best QB in the National Football League. And there's going to be people that totally disagree with me on that. And I understand that people are going to totally disagree with me on that. I just don't think that there's, if there's a single person alive that thinks that, Mitch, he is a top 32 quarterback, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. He's definitely not top 25. Like, there's not 25 teams in the NFL that go, I'll take Aidan. I don't think there's 31 NFL teams in the NFL that would take Aidan to be their starter. And I hate ripping apart a dude that I've never met like this. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. But my job here is to give you guys my honest opinion. My job here is to make sure that I'm going to play YouTube GM head coach, and I'm going to put my opinion up there and say, at the end of the day, the number one objective is to win a Super Bowl. This guy's never going to win you a Super Bowl, and if it's your first year head coach and GM, why are you going to slap a Band-Aid on it when you said that you didn't want to do that? Final quote here from Antonio Pierce. You want the face of your franchise to be the quarterback, to be that guy you can count on for the next 10 years. Let me look at all of y'all in the face right now, and this is another very honest conversation that we're about to have, right? Face of your franchise. Does anybody out there want Aidan O'Connell to be the Raiders' face of their franchise for the next 10 years? No, you don't want that. You are hoping that Aidan is like the bad version of Derek Carr from 2017 to 2022. And here's the other part in that AP quote, because a lot of the times I was curious, are they going to go and try to go in free agency? Are they going to try to add somebody like a veteran, like a Kirk Cousins? I mean, I hear this quote right here, Kirk Cousins ain't playing for another 10 years. And if this is their plan, and this is what Antonio Pierce wants, obviously Telesco and them have to get on board. But like next 10 years to me doesn't sound like anybody in free agency. There is not a single quarterback in free agency that can be the Raiders' face of their franchise for the next 10 years. The only way that you're getting exactly what Antonio Pierce has described in all his quotes and how he's finishing with this quote right here is if you go in the draft. And the other part of it is this. The only quarterbacks that I believe have a chance to be the face of a franchise for the next 10 years, you're going to have to trade up for. And there's another QB that's getting more and more hype. It's not Michael Penix Jr. I was told by a source literally just the other day that there's a lot of NFL teams at the Combine that don't view Bo Nix as a round one quarterback. Yep. J.J. McCarthy, I'm out on him. The QB that I'm really curious to see where he goes, Spencer Rattler. I'm not saying he's going to be the face of the franchise, but he's a name that the more and more talk I hear, don't be shocked if he ends up going before a guy like Bo Nix. But bottom line, the way I'm going to end this show is this. I want the Raiders to find a franchise quarterback. I want AP to be able to get his guy. I want the Raiders to legitimately have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's never going to be with Aidan O'Connell.